So we've looked at 3 products now. We vetted them with the criteria as mentioned in our past videos. And now we're moving on to the last area that we need to make sure of before going forward with a product. And that has to do with intellectual property rights. In regards to intellectual property rights, the 2 areas that we're gonna focus in on that apply to private label mainly are trademarks and patents. Now I'm gonna briefly talk about each of these, and then I'm gonna jump on the computer and then show you how you can research these things when looking in your private label product. So the first one is trademarks. Now, trademarks have to do with either brand names or also logos. So when you think about different brand names, you can go to the store, you can see things such as KitchenAid, Coca-Cola. These are all different brand names, and these are all trademarked. So what that means for you is you can't come to market on Amazon and have one of these existing brand names as part of your product. How can we research this? Now, I use different tools such as websites like Trademarks 411, Trademarkia, but the main governing body that focuses on trademarks and patents is the USPTO. And so I use different sites like these ones that I just mentioned to look for the trademarks to see if they're already existing. And then I'll take that information and then bring it over to the USPTO to find out on their site a little more information. Trademarks are fairly easy. You just don't want to use other people's brand names or brand logos. And you can use different simple websites to see if a brand name is covered in a trademark. The other area in regards to intellectual property rights that we need to focus on are patents. Now, there are 2 main types of patents. The first one being a design patent, and the second one being a utility patent. Now, what are the differences? Well, a design patent has to do with the aesthetic or the look of an item. A design patent typically is easier to get around than a utility patent. For example, a design patent will state different features of what the product exactly looks at. Oftentimes, if you just change one of those features, you can get around this design patent and be able to still offer this product. I want to tell you, as you guys probably already know, I am not a licensed patent attorney or trademark attorney, so I do recommend that in going into something such as getting around a design patent or a utility patent, that you do seek professional assistance with that. Now, what about utility patents? Well, utility patents have to do with the function of a product. A lot of products that have a utility patent and the way a product is used, they're a lot more difficult to get around, because if you are using a product for a similar function and you change the function, a lot of times there's no relevancy for your product anymore. But then there's some products, such as maybe an example, one that I looked at in the past, was stuffed animals that have a pacifier on the end of them. And when you look at the patents for those, it all has to do with how the pacifier actually connects to the stuffed animal. Now, there's ways that you can clip it on with a button, there's ways with the Velcro. The majority of these have already been patented. Trying to figure out a new way to connect that pacifier to the stuffed animals, that connection is gonna take quite a bit of thinking, and you're gonna have to try to figure out how you can do that. But again, it's just getting around the functionality that others have already patented with that utility patent. Now, is it impossible? Absolutely not. Is it gonna be more costly to do, to produce? Yes, absolutely it is too. So my recommendation for a new private label seller who's just trying to get their feet wet and try to learn the process of private label in their product research is to stay away from anything that has any type of patents or trademarks related to it. Now, we talked about 3 different products so far, and I'm gonna show you how one of these products I would definitely steer clear from as a first potential product because of different patent issues. As a side note, many times when you look online, you'll say, but all these other sellers are selling this product. I see there's a patent for it, but why can't I sell it? I mean, they're getting away with it. Won't I be fine? Now, ignorance is bliss at times, but sometimes different patent owners are just slower to enforce their patent, or they don't know quite yet that it's on Amazon and a lot of people are selling it. That doesn't mean they can't go after you. So even if you see a product that is selling by many different sellers on Amazon and there's a patent for it, that doesn't give us an excuse to be able to do it also. What that tells me though is that for some reason it's not being enforced. I would then go ahead and take the next step of contacting a patent attorney just to get it looked at, to say, what are my options, what are my liabilities, and what are ultimately my risks with proceeding with this product that has some type of patent associated with it. Now, patent attorneys are expensive. They charge by the hour, and they're hundreds of dollars per hour. But like seasonal products, which I say I have nothing against, they can produce very good income. Products that have a patent that you're trying to get around, there is also money to be made there. But I do not recommend it on your first few products. In fact, if there are products that you can work on that don't have any patents associated with it, I would try to stick clearly with those. That being said, if you can get around a patent, it gives a higher barrier to entry for competition. So I'm gonna jump on the computer right now. I'm gonna show you which one of the 3 products that does not make it through this filter of intellectual property rights. And I'm gonna show you how on the computer you can search for already existing trademarks and already existing patents, which then if you'd like more information, you can then contact a licensed patent attorney. All right, let's jump on the computer and check it out. I wanna touch briefly on trademarks to begin with, how you can do a trademark search. Where I like to do them. We're not going to touch too much on trademarks just because trademarks really have to do with like brand names, and when you're looking for a product, you don't have to be concerned with that as much. That's more of the down the line when you actually go to making a brand yourself and choosing a brand name. Your number one research source for trademarks and patent information is the USPTO, which stands for the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Now you'll see here on the website, there's the patent section and there's the trademark section. So if we click here to the trademark section, I recommend reading through this trademark basics section, and it gives you everything you need to know, videos. I recommend going here before going to someplace like YouTube, just because you know this is going to be very accurate and timely information. You can do a trademark search here. If you go back here, you can do a trademark search and check the database. But what I like to do for my trademark search are websites like Trademarks 411. Now, Trademarks 411 is a service that if you decide to want to file for a trademark, this is the place that you would do it. This is actually where I go to. But you can just log in here or not even log in, go here, and you can type in whatever brand name you're thinking about and do a search, and it'll come up to show you if it's already taken. So when thinking about brand names, you always want to be as specific and unique as possible. The more unique, the better. So if we were to type in something like Happy Kids, let's just see what comes up here. You can see anything that has to do with this, it'll bring it up in this section. And look at how many pages there are. There's a lot of pages. Let's get a little more. How about Super TVs? Let's try something interesting. See, it'll show you if anything has that name right here, and then it'll tell you the status, right? So it looks like something like this, but that's pretty general. So Tom's Televisions. And nothing's come up for that either. See, all dead. Now, if you were to put in something like Office Essentials, you can start to see there are some like Office Depot, right? Different ones on here, Office Essentials, but all these ones that say Office Essentials are dead. And so this may be one that you could potentially go after. But again, you want to search a website like this for the brand name. You want to see if it's live, if it's close to what you have in mind. And then also you want to be as unique as possible. That's why something like Xerox is easy to get a trademark for. So we'll move on from trademarks now, and let's get into patents. All right, now with patents, we're going to use a couple other resources. We are still going to use the USPTO, and there is a section here on patents that I recommend everyone going through. There's a section under General Information Concerning Patents, and you're going to see all the different topics they talk about when it comes to patents. And if you are interested in maybe seeing if your product is patentable, or if a product that you're looking at has a patent, I recommend looking over some of this information too. Now, I had mentioned earlier though that there was one product that we had looked at that had potential patent issues. And I don't know if you guessed it, but it is the weighted blanket. So what I do is weighted blanket, I type in the item name, and then I just type in patent, and then Google Patents will go out and look for it. We see here the first one that comes up, weighted blanket, and there's a patent right here. You're gonna see here in Google Patents, it'll tell you a little bit more about it. Here's the patent number. When we read here, it describes exactly the same item that we were looking at. When we read what it's for, autism, anxiety, relaxation, and then describes it, it is spot on exactly the weighted blanket. If we wanna do a little more of a deep dive, you can actually take this publication number and then you can go into the USPTO, and then again, you can do a search right here for the patents, do a text search. Here it is, a quick search. And you plug it in here and do the search, and it'll have a more detailed page like this. Does this mean that we would not want to go after this item? Personally, if there are items that don't have any patents or anything worries like this, I like to go after those first. However, it's a really good idea now we feel confident about, and you have a little bit of money to invest, then maybe you'd look at something like this. Now, another thing we can tell from this Google Patents here is it says publication type. Now, notice it says here application, right? Now, what that means is someone has filed an application for a patent on this item. I'm not sure if it's a utility patent for function or a design patent for the look of it, but they have filed an application. However, it has not been granted yet. We can see here it's almost been, what, 8 years ago that they filed this, and it still hasn't been granted. Just because someone has an application in does not mean it will be granted. However, just because it has been granted for a while doesn't mean it won't. If you were interested in still pursuing a product like this, you would definitely want to talk to a patent attorney. Now, a patent attorney is not cheap. And if you go into Google, you type in your local city or town and you type in patents, attorney, you'll be able to find one. You'll want them to do a deep dive into this patent, this application, and want to have an idea of what your product would be like. And they could tell you, okay, you'd be safe here or you wouldn't be safe. Now, a patent investigation or a deep dive like that does cost between around $1,000 to $2,000, right? And it does take time. Time is money too. So put that all into your mind when it comes to, do I want to pursue a product that something is coming up here with some patent issues, right? One other area we can look for if nothing comes up in Google Patents is actually to go to a brand's website and look to see if there's any patents there. So now one item that I've seen a lot on Amazon that I saw on Kickstarter was this item called a bottle keeper. All right, if you look at this item, it's pretty cool. It's somewhere it's like a beer koozie. You put your beer in there or your water, and it will keep it cool for extra long time. It's pretty unique. Screws on the bottom. But I saw a lot of people offering this on Amazon. I was actually thinking about, do I want to offer this too? But I wanted to see, hey, is there any patents for this item? So what I did was I type in the brand name, right, into Google, and then patent, and see what comes up. Now notice, here it is, the actual website, and they have a section on their website called patents. And then it lists here the patent numbers. I did not really deep dive into these patents to see, like, are these applications? Can I get around them? Yes, the item was selling well, but I had other items in my Jungle Scout web app that looked promising also. So for me, this was enough, especially for my first items, to turn me away from it. However, just because you see a patent like this or an application like this does not mean you have to avoid the item. It just means that you need to talk to a professional, and what that means is going to cost probably a couple $1,000s. Now, again, I highly recommend, especially if you're first starting out, to go after items where there are no different random patent issues, whether it's on Google Patents, whether it's on the USPTO, whether it's on the actual brand's website. I like to go after items that are a lot less risk and liability issues. And so personally, I would choose one of the other two that I found. So I hope this helped out a little bit. Again, I'm not a licensed patent attorney or trademark attorney, but here are a few resources that you can use that I personally use that can really help you to narrow your risk down and kind of get a good bearing on if you should choose a certain product or not. All right, see you guys in the next video.